Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of All Angles. I'm Dion Jackson Miller. Now, in this segment of the program, as we have in recent weeks, we are going to once again be focusing on aspects of the COVID-19 pandemic. We're going to be talking to some commentators, getting their views on how the rollout has been going. In this first segment, though, we are going to address concerns about the Astrazeneca vaccine, which is the vaccine currently being given in Jamaica. Just before that, though, today was another sobering day for us here in Jamaica. Reports of 13 deaths from COVID-19 in the past 24 hours, the highest number that we've had reported so far. And it's very easy to forget that the numbers we're hearing are real people. So I haven't done this before, I want to go through the list as sent out by the Ministry of Health of those who have reported dead in the past 24 hours as a result of COVID-19. An 86-year-old man from Kingston and St. Andrew, an 81-year-old woman from St. Thomas, a 79-year-old woman from Kingston and St. Andrew, a 78-year-old man from St. Elizabeth, a 73-year-old woman from Kingston and St. Andrew, a 71-year-old man from St. Thomas, a 62-year-old man from St. Elizabeth, a 61-year-old woman from Kingston and St. Andrew, a 59-year-old woman from St. Thomas, a 56-year-old woman from Kingston and St. Andrew, a 50-year-old man from Kingston and St. Andrew, a 46-year-old woman from Kingston and St. Andrew, a 26-year-old woman from St. Catherine. 13 Jamaicans added to the numbers of those dead from COVID-19, pushing our total so far to over 500. And whether or not these 13 Jamaicans had underlying conditions before COVID-19, they were living with it. They were managing. They were getting on with life. And no, they are no longer with us. They're people's fathers, mothers, grandmothers, grandfathers, sisters, friends, daughters, sons. And we have to remember that as we continue to fight this pandemic. Okay, now concerns raised about the Astrazeneca vaccine in the light of reports from over a dozen countries in Europe that they have suspended the inoculation program with the Astrazeneca vaccine following reports of some persons who had been vaccinated developing blood clots. Now, both the European Medicines Agency as well as the World Health Organization have continued to say that the vaccine is safe. They have said that there are just a few such reports so far, but joining us to tell us more, we have Dr. Swinburne Augustine, a research microbiologist and immunologist, joining us from Ohio in the United States. Doctor, thank you so much for talking to us. We appreciate it. Hearing me, Dr. Augustine? You might be muted, Doctor. Okay, we're just sorting that out. We'll be touching base with Dr. Augustine in just a moment. One of the reasons we did want to talk to him as well, though, is that he is a Caribbean man. He's a Dominican, in fact, and we do try to link with Jamaicans as well as Caribbean nationals who want to hear more of their voices in the fight against COVID-19. Now, the World Health Organization, in fact, issued a statement just today as well, saying that the suspension of the Astrazeneca vaccine program by some European countries is what has been called a precautionary measure based on reports of rare blood coagulation disorders. They say other countries have continued to use the vaccine. And the WHO says that thromboembolic events are known to occur frequently in populations, COVID or no COVID, and that venous thromboembolism is the third most common cardiovascular disease globally. That's simply put a blood clot that can travel through the body. And Dr. Augustine with us now. Doctor, thank you so much for talking to us. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for inviting me.
I'm sure you've heard the concerns, you've been seeing the reports, and here in Jamaica, lots of questions being asked. People asking, hold on, do we need to halt our own program here? The Ministry of Health has said they remain confident in the vaccine. The reports from the regulators overseas are that it remains safe. Can you give me a perspective, Doctor?
Yes. As with every vaccination program, we're going to have people who have side effects that were not expected. But the European Medicines Agency, which is the equivalent of the FDA here in the United States, has said that there is no known correlation with the blood clots that are occurring in Europe, and that they should continue with the vaccination program. However, that is one of the good things about the science that we do. It's that when something goes wrong, we ask people when they take the vaccines to report back any symptoms, anything they may have that may be untoward. But so when that happens, depending on the number of people, and there have been about 40 people who have reported various forms of thrombocytopenia and other clotting events, low platelets that are used in the clotting mechanisms. It is always right to pause and to see if those effects are directly related to the vaccinations, to the vaccines. So far, there has not been, and as of today, the European Medicines Agency is still encouraging countries to continue the program. As we can see, the cases are spiking in Europe right now. So they're in a pretty bad situation with doubts about the vaccines and COVID spiking in those countries. They're doing the right scientific thing to look and see what's going on with those blood clots, because it is a problem if it's found to have been directly correlated with the vaccine. But so far, more than 17 million people in Europe have been vaccinated with the Astrazeneca vaccine. And out of those, only 40 people, about 40 people have reported the incidences of those blood clots. So that's a very, very, very low percentage. And it is not something that, it's something that you would generally see in the general population with or without vaccines. So they found that the rate at which those things are happening are not related to the vaccine, and also not unusual as something that would have happened in the general population without the vaccines. So this is where it stands, but the agency, the European Medicines Agency, and other groups are studying, and the scientists are studying those events to see what's going on with those clots. Now, they've determined, a lot of them are determining that the benefits, since COVID cases are rising, the benefits outweigh the risks. In everything we do, we always have a cost-benefit analysis.
Yes, let me ask you to hold on. Let me ask you to hold on there, though, and ask a couple of questions based on what you've said, because there might be people listening who say, "Hold on, but I perhaps am more prone to this kind of disorder. I already have issues, perhaps with circulation or whatever." Should those people, though, be regarding this any differently?
They definitely should. If they have clotting problems or blood clotting problems, they definitely should have a conversation with their physicians to determine what's best for them. it is a concern, definitely. It is a concern that we should all take seriously. And you can bet that the scientists are taking this very, very seriously. But the numbers are still down so low out of 17 million 40. That's 0.000000, a very tiny number. But each individual life and each individual person is important. So that's why I think you find that pause, but it is not something I would have taken. I would still take the vaccine today. Okay. If I had the choice. I took the first one of Moderna. That's what they offered, but I would have taken any one.
Okay. Tell me something though. Does a non-health question, but is there any possibility that Brexit politics is playing a role in all of this? The fact that the vaccine is out of the UK, we hear European countries responding.
In fact, there is a news story out today that is saying that this whole European vaccine pause has more to do with politics than the science. When one country's leader said, okay, we're going to pause, and that's, as a matter of fact, in the news story says that Jamaica, well, I mean, not Jamaica, excuse me, but when Germany spoke with the French president and spoke with Italian president, Italian prime minister, they came up with the fact that they did not want to be the last group of people not to pause. So it is more of a political question than a scientific one at this point.
Okay, but as far as Jamaica's position is, and I know other countries in the region, you would absolutely support the position that we continue with the vaccination program with AstraZeneca?
Yes, I would. And I would have taken it myself if I were down there. I would have. The thing is, what is the cost? AstraZeneca's vaccine is about 72%, 76% effective. And to be walking around unprotected from COVID when we, as Black people, African Americans, Caribbean Americans, have borne the brunt of this burden throughout this pandemic. We've been infected more, we've died more, and yes, we have reasons to doubt, and the whole world is in a kind of a hole, if you want to put it. It's a learning experience for all of us. Not that we're using anybody as lab rats, then I would be one too, and my mom and my other family members would be. It's just that we are now in the middle of a pandemic where the end is in sight. The vaccines, the masks, the social distancing, the hygiene has not only, can not only slow down and stop the SARS, but if you notice, the flu almost went away this year.
Yes, we did notice. I'm going to have to leave it
We've
there,
been
Doctor.
doing the things to protect us.
Yes, and I saw the stats showing that flu, the numbers of cases of flu very, very significantly down. I'm going to have to leave it there. Can I thank you so much? Really appreciate your time and your thoughts this evening.
You're very welcome. Anytime.
All right, let's go to the break. When we come back, we'll talk to some commentators a little bit more about our rollout here in Jamaica. How's it been going? Soon come.